So who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlamagne.
Come
on. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris.
Okay, so much to unpack there. But I do, as context, want to give Kamala Harris a shout out because the historical backdrop of this is that, of course, Charlamagne the Great was also the person to whom Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
And Kamala Harris, of course, famously said on this, The Breakfast Club, another show that Charlamagne the God is on, that the Russians were behind the Colin Kaepernick thing.
Remember the heat that ended up around the bend the knee and Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
Many smart people have said it actually was not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Russian bot started taking that on.
Also, I thought you were going to say how it was on The Breakfast Club that Kamala Harris said that she used to smoke pot in college, of course, because she's Jamaican.
They say you oppose legalizing weed.
That's not true.
I know.
and look, I joke about it, half joking. Half my family's from Jamaica. Are you kidding me?
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
Like I inhaled. I did inhale.
And that she used to listen to Tupac when doing so, even though Tupac hadn't come out until after she had graduated college.
What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song was it?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac for sure.
She was asked about her favorite living rapper, and then she said that it was Tupac.
Best rapper alive. Tupac.
But she also did say that about how, of course, she smoked weed because she's Jamaican, which led her father, who was always MIA, to come out of whatever thing he is in to avoid having to comment on his obvious disappointment of a daughter. He was so disgusted he had to push back and say that it was good that some of their ancestors weren't alive to hear her say that.
Okay.
So,
well,
best rapper alive.
Which led her father, who was always MIA, to come out of whatever thing he is in to avoid having to comment on his obvious disappointment of a daughter. He was so disgusted he had to push back and say that it was good that some of their ancestors weren't alive to hear her say that.
Okay.
So,
well,
anyway,
the only point I'm trying to make is that Charlamagne the God is the Larry King of our generation.
He is. Yes.
He gets what no one else can get.
Yeah.
And for some reason, people keep submitting to interviews with him, even though they know they cannot handle the truthiness that he brings to every equation. So I doff my hat to Charlamagne the God.
Yeah.
I give no credit to Charlamagne. He's a goofball. He's the only reason he looks so smart is because every single other person on TV is completely empty-headed, and he's up against people like Cuomo, the CNN guys. There's nothing up there. So Charlamagne just being a little bit, savvy makes him look like a genius. He's not a good person in real life. He's not good politically. He's just the only one willing to push back and say, "Oh no, she can hear me," because he just doesn't care. Yeah. Pretty much everyone else on TV is just groveling at these people's feet. Charlamagne just doesn't care. They can't really do anything for him, I guess.
The beauty of this is that I actually think that Charlamagne is interested in maintaining a good relationship with Kamala Harris and is concerned about access. He's asking these questions very clearly from the posture of wanting to support her and get a good answer out of her, and whatever she gave him, he was willing to run with it and let it go. When what he reacts to, you can see him reacting to it, is this idea that they're going to act like they can't hear me and play him for a fool. At that point, he kind of loses his cool and goes ahead and doubles down and asks the follow-up question. But if you keep watching the whole interview, if you watch the whole 20-minute interview, it's clear that he pivots back to saying, look, I ask you that question because I'm rooting for you and I want Joe Biden to take the reins. And are you going to be the hero this country needs in this moment? The answer is no.
Right. He says that's the Kamala Harris that I know and love, something along those lines. Of when she because she play acts that she's being really defiant. All she's saying is that's my name is Kamala Harris. That's my name on the vice presidential seal.
Yeah, I thought this was one of the low points in like Black history. All right, we have like a Black vice president being interviewed on TV and completely and utterly being incapable of like handling even like a gentle nudging question that's about something incredibly important, if not the most important thing she's ever been involved in. Like she should have answers and be ready for tough questions about this sort of thing, and she just starts getting into substitute teacher mode where she's like, look class, you're gonna do what I say, you're gonna sit down, and it just like doesn't work on Charlamagne, and it just ends up looking really, at least the clip that people were posting on Twitter, like it just ended up looking really, really embarrassing, really embarrassing. And Kamala, I swear, she's never struck me as a particularly bright or talented speaker or person, and this is just an example of it. She's our Sarah Palin. As far I have felt this way for a while.
But not as entertaining. Sarah Palin's a good time.